You're listening to the Board Game Snobs podcast, a ridiculous podcast with ridiculous hosts that discuss ridiculous things. And any mention of board games is purely coincidental. And so, without further ado, and with a heavy dollop of shame and embarrassment on my part, I give you the Board Game Snobs.
And go. Go now.
And go. I'm going. I'm
No time
always
wasted.
going. This
We've
is
wasted
Jerry.
enough time the last 2 weeks.
We have at the Board Game Snobs. We haven't recorded a lot, and now we are trying to get caught up. What we need to do is sit like a thing when I'm on the road, because I intend to be on the road. Probably next week. We need to do this recording thing in Discord. That way, some people can join in if they like. What
Yeah,
day
I
would
mean,
you
we
say?
could. Yeah, Wednesdays would be best for me.
Let's do it on a Wednesday night. Let's say next Wednesday at, next Wednesday would be the 21st. No, the 14th. I'm sorry. My calendar is messed up. On the 14th, what time? Central Standard Time. It's 8
I'm
p.m.
good. I'm good anytime after 5:30. The earlier, the better.
Let's do 7 p.m. 7 p.m.
p.m.
Central Standard Time, May the 14th.
Join
on
our Discord.
Is this Discord channel where we're doing the voice? Is it where people can
Yeah.
join? Or is it
Well,
private?
not this particular one, but we can switch over
Well,
to
then-
the welcome yourself. But also, we could invite people. So if somebody's on, we could invite them on instead of it being chaos. I could send an invite to Tyler, invite to make the guys that went to the Snob Con. I'd like to get them on, all 4 of them.
Mason
we can,
Pierce. You got to send us this picture here.
Yeah, I
Of
could
us.
invite Tyler. Let's see, Jabs. I think he's on here.
Mason
Yeah,
Pierce's picture on Discord is of Bonacore and him in the background. It's kind of weird.
He's photo bombing him.
He's a big Bonacore fan.
Bombacore, if you ask me. Just kidding. I have nothing against Stephen Bonacore. That was mostly for photo bombing. That was mostly in a reference to a photo bomb.
I got it. I got you. I thought you were like making a hot Terraforming Mars reference for some reason.
Well, oh yeah, sure. 6 years ago.
6? No, that was 10 years ago.
Nuh-uh.
Hang on, I'll tell you. But I'm pretty sure I'm
Mars
saying
has
it was
been out for 10 years. Good grief.
I'm sorry. I stand corrected. We played it at 2015 BGG. It was technically released 2016.
Wow, that's crazy.
So yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
Well, I haven't been having fun lately.
Well, you've been doing.
Not. I'll just busy. Busy. It's a pain in the butt. I hate being busy. I like being without responsibility. And I've been saddled with responsibility, and I don't like it. But that's okay. I'll work through it. I know you have your own responsibilities that you've been dealing with, but that's neither here nor there. We don't need to get into all that. But
Yeah, we're not. Let's not get into the nervous breakdown that I had. So I
That's
did
okay.
I did an Office Space level nervous breakdown last week, and so I think we should just take a moment to shout out to all of our healthcare heroes. It was Nurses Week last week, and anybody else who has just a really stressful job to say, you know what, sometimes it's best just to say out loud what's going on and what you need help with, rather than just bottling it up and waiting and trying to fight through it. Because it's sometimes you end up just sitting quietly in a dark room, perhaps the Hampton Inn and Suites, drinking cheap vodka and thinking to yourself, you know, I just need to do something radical that will help fix my situation.
I need to smash a copy machine.
Yeah, like let's don't take the baseball bat to the copy machine, which would have been devastating for my little office, because we have one of the few color printers in the entire company.
Ooh, I'm envious of color. My wife refuses to let us get a color printer. Now, granted, I would only use it once every 3 years, but when I want that color printed, I would love to have it.
Well, not that they're sponsored or anything, but HP, Hewlett Packard, my wife owns a printer.
Ooh,
And I say my
fancy.
wife because
Ooh, you own a
she
printer.
she owns a printer. But this is a very special type of printer. When she got it, she put it, of course, in my office, which I allowed. You know, I allow my wife to do things. I'm the man of the house. Send your hate emails to boardgamestars@gmail.com.
So alpha of you.
So I'm so alpha. Anyways, so she homeschools our kids, you know, and she needs a color printer, you know, for homeschooling purposes, for arts and crafts and such. She set this up, of course, with a subscription. So apparently they somehow track our ink usage and we pay some sort of flat rate and they send us, it's some weird way to where we can just print what we want to up to a degree, and they keep sending us color cartridges because, you know, those color cartridges are super expensive. But it's some sort of weird setup thing. I don't even know. It's like HP Smart or some subscription thing. I don't know. But it's like a way of going, hey, the biggest issue you have about buying expensive printer ink, how about we just fix that for you? And we'll monitor your ink usage, and you pay a flat rate, and we send you the color ink, and don't worry about it.
There you go.
And it works.
Nice.
And she loves it. And it's just this little printer that sits precariously close to me in my office, and she prints stuff from her phone, and she will just think of something, and she could be anywhere. She could be 100 miles away and decide, oh yeah, I'll think of this. I need to print this. And she'll just print it immediately. So I'll just be sitting here minding my business, and all of a sudden this printer will just start spitting out things.
Now comes a Jack and Jill book.
It will be, well, it's technically, it's always something that my wife just decides, you know what, this thing here, I need a reminder of it. And she'll just precariously print this thing. Anyways, it's fascinating. And
I'm a fan of the color printer, especially when I've wanted BGG, like you go on there for like AIDS to look at games for
AIDS,
not autoimmune
AIDS and BGG?
Deficiency syndrome, but
that's a roaring review. I went to Board Game Geek and it gave me AIDS. I'm sorry.
Not the autoimmune deficiency element, but rather player aids to a variety of games in which I like to print. And Jerry always gets on to me, why you need that? Blah, blah, blah. But when I do print them,
I get on to you about that. I love AIDS.
You get on to me about AIDS.
I print from the Esoteric Gamer all the time.
You always
Shout
tell
out
me
to
it's
them.
unnecessary. You know the rules. We don't need them. You most
I do not. You are way out. I love the Esoteric Gamers.
Am I besmirching you?
No, you are just falsifying. You are somehow conflating other things I've said and making now that I'm somehow negative about player AIDS.
Well,
I am big into player AIDS.
Oh, you're pro AIDS.
I'm pro AIDS. And I'll tell you this too. Speaking of pro AIDS, did you know, fun fact, number one, nobody dies from AIDS. You die from complications of AIDS. That is not a fun fact. I don't know why it's stuck in my head.
That's a not so fun fact. Dark Facts by Jerry.
Well, it's like you don't die from AIDS.
Dark facts can be prevented by a color printer.
Yeah, exactly. I am Darth Facts. It's just like Lord Vader's older brother that just always everything's black and white.
He
just sits around.
He uses the Force one line at a time.
He sits around and listens to Metallica and paint it black all the time. Anyways, speaking of also printing things out, I had something else I was going with here. Oh, yes, print in place. I knew I was going to hard merge this into something. So, of course, I was looking at some games that I desperately want to play because in a couple of weeks, we're going to BGG. Matter of fact, by the time this comes out, it'll be like a week away. There is a print and play night by Hammer Dice Games. Is a print and play that popped up on my just Golden Geek Award list there, the 2024 Golden Geek Best Print and Play nominee. And so I was looking at it. It's a solo game from this publisher, Hammer Dice, which apparently you pay them. I think they're British, so you have to pay them in pounds or something. And they send you the files and you can print this game out. It looks very interesting, and I'm very tempted since I have access to a color printer, i.e. my color printer, not the color printer at work. I would never, ever think about utilizing company resources to print something that was personal to play this game. But it's a flip and write, which I'm fascinated with trying to with a print this whole thing of like a print and play, flip and write type thing, because it would be so easy to produce in a lot of ways, but also something that can, there are some flip and writes that are really good. And so, I might try that.
When I hear print and play, you may have just explained this as I was not listening because I was looking up Board Game Geek winners, which apparently the best print and play was 52 Realms Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something you can print on your computer at home, or is this like 3D printer stuff?
No, it's a print. You print it with your printer.
Okay. Huh. Well,
I'm just realizing you've never done this, so it's.
No.
I just assumed you had.
No,
but I've done some print and
like
plays.
if I'm going to play a game, I don't feel like the quality. I'm going to have to get some high stock paper and make it nice, because I don't want to just play a game on a piece of paper. That doesn't sound pleasant to my eyes. Or
that's like a flip and write. That's the purpose, is that you're not trying to print a full-blown cardboard, which you can. Actually, I did that project once for a solo version of X-Wings, the miniature game, and it was just been many years ago when it first came out, but it was a high production value, and you could put as much work as you want to in it, and I ended up going to like Kinko's or Office Max and getting after it, and it was a very neat little, print it and paste it and have your own cardboard stuff. I went into it. So you can go that route, but technically these games are just games that are designed to be like just paper, like welcome to. It's just paper. Yeah, it's just paper. So it's very beautiful artwork on said paper that you can use and print off, and you can use whatever quality that you like. But the whole idea being, okay, something you can just print out. And if you want to bling it out and you like it, then you can. So that was one, just in talking about printing things. That was one that was, of course, on my mind. And also, I just shouted out the Esoteric Gamer. Let me make sure people just know. I just said his name like everybody should know it. Is it Esoteric? I don't know how to spell Esoteric.
Never. I'm unfamiliar. So
it's the Esoteric Order of Games. Hang on, I shall complete my shout out.
I believe you've been talking for a solid 5 minutes.
No, this is for you, because I'm trying to help your ignorance.
You always.
I'm trying to help
start talking, and I got to barge in at some point so I can.
Well, if you had something useful to say,
podcast. I'm
trying to help you. I'm trying to help you.
I'm not interested in printing games. I will never print a game on my printer.
I'm not talking about printing games. I'm not talking about printing games. If you would pay attention, you would love this thing that I'm about to tell you about.
All right,
it has nothing to do with printing games. It has everything to do with AIDS. I'm trying to help you get AIDS.
Ooh, I do love AIDS.
Order of Gamers, plural.com. Orderofgamers.com. This used to be called the Esoteric Order of Gamers. First off, it's a fine website. And I'm giving this individual a shout out also because I feel like people, you need to send this guy a little bit of money, because he does an excellent job at not only doing some rules videos, but he provides a free service, which is that of player aids. And he's really good at it. So if you go to his board games, and you can search by title, you go to by title, games by title. He has a bunch of older games, a bunch of newer games, upcoming games, where he revamps the player aid and does it in a more consistent manner with how somebody might look at the game and be able to understand what's going on. So even though some of these games do come with a player aid, his player aids are wonderful. For instance, I'll just select the first
hold
game
on, stop. Wait, all right, you've been seriously. You okay? You know what you lack sometimes?
What?
The art of conversation. Like you just start talking. No. You start talking and you never like throw it to me. Like you didn't.
I'm throwing it to you now.
No. You're throwing it to me now because I've barged in. You start talking, and you keep talking, and you keep talking, and you keep talking, and that's great. That's fine. That's wonderful. If this was a solo podcast, but this is a 2-man show, and so
say something.
Conversation would no. You're not going to do this. Oh, well, say something worthwhile. It depends on what you're interested in. What's worthwhile is all subjective to anyone. There may be plenty of people that have zero interest in what you're saying, or there may be plenty of people that are very interested in what you're saying. There may be people that they can't stand player aids, therefore they're not going to talk about player aids and don't care about the esoteric order of gamers. Okay,
but I know
that's
you
fine.
you like player aids.
I know. But you have not made this a conversation, and you often do not, and this is a weakness of yours I'm just pointing out to you. The thing, like when you go into these businesses or you're starting a new job, or especially if you start work for Google, and you go in this room and they're like, okay, I'm going to say something about myself. Then I throw the ball to you. And you rarely do that unless it's an interview style and you're going into it for an interview.
Oh, I see. You're jealous.
I'm saying.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm just saying this for your own
I accept
benefit.
your aid.
You sometimes lack the skill of stopping talking and then allowing someone else to speak. You don't ask a question, or you don't ask really anything. You just tell what you've been up to, what you're thinking. And
what's the term where you're just talking like a professor?
Lecture?
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. See,
Yeah.
that's conversation.
See, you asked me a question and I answered a one-word answer.
All right.
And now you'll take that and talk for 5 minutes.
Let's practice then.
Let's
practice
lectures.
then. Let's start over here. So, okay. So, Gabi, you're interested in player aids, correct?
I do love aids. Indeed, I do.
Well, do I have a website for you? Do you have a convenient mobile or PC device for which you could go to the World Wide Web?
That's funny you should say that. I have both, actually, and I prefer to look everything up World Wide Web on a computer. But now if there's an app for it, I would prefer to go to the app on my phone.
Well, why don't you go to www.orderofgamers.com.
Let me get on my computer. I don't search up www.nothing. And nobody's put www.nothing in their device or computer in at least 15 years. We've done away with that domain stuff. www. You just type in the website and it looks it up. If you're still quoting the www to people, you're really showing your age.
Thank you for your input.
Really
now,
showing your age.
Have you found the esoteric order of gamers?
I'm still on the www. It takes forever to type that in. All right. Esoteric gamers?
Orderofgamers.com.
Let me get on my device here. I have esoteric organics.
Issues.
That popped up first.
Just go to orderofgamers.com.
Well, you asked me to go to esoteric.
No, I did not. I said www. When you look at
orderofgamers.com. Okay, I've got it pulled up right in front of my face. It says cool videos and the best rules and reference sheets for tabletop games. All right.
If you go to the top and see games by title and click that.
Now, when you say go up to the top, I suppose you mean the little 3 lines on the right-hand side, because I don't see what you're saying unless I push the 3 lines, and that pulls up articles, game support, about, contact. No, all I see is cool videos, the best rules and reference.
And then you can select from games by title and be able to find current versions of all game aids, which I know how you love aids.
Okay, well, here I am. I'm interested. I may make use of this at some point in time.
I'm sure you will, because he does player aids for games that, even though some of them may already have player aids, he does a nice little thing where he will put in almost forgotten rules or updates from other versions of the game into said little player aids and kind of handouts that help teach the game. And his website, to me, is quite nice. And
it looks like they put a lot of work into that. And it's how long has it been around?
If you go back up and click the little bars again, you'll go to the About page, and he will discuss how back in 2004 he became obsessed with BoardGameGeek.com. But in 2012, he launched the Esoteric Order of Gamers.
.com? Or he just launched them like out into space?
Peter Grifford is his name, I believe.
Peter
Not
Griffin?
Griffin.
Are you kidding me?
I just said not Griffin. It's Peter Grifford.
And oftentimes people call that the little hamburger because you can see like the top bun, the meat, and then the bottom bun. You ever
What's
heard
that?
The little
I've never
menu,
heard that.
the 3 lines that make the menu.
Oh, that. You're still on that. That's
They'll
very
say
interesting.
They'll say push the little hamburger up there.
I have never heard that term ever until you just uttered it.
Yeah.
I will now begin to use that term to test your hypothesis that this is a common nomenclature used by cool people.
It is. Push a little hamburger. Everybody knows what you're talking about.
I will ask.
All the cool
Do
kids
you refer
will.
to those lines as the little hamburger? Our dear listeners, send us an email so that we may have a discussion, a back and forth discussion.
Thank you.
Here at the Board Game Snobs.
A back and forth. A ping and a pong.
Speaking of hamburgers.
Do you want to discuss at all the winners of the Board Game Golden Geek or not? Because actually it doesn't matter to us because we weren't nominated.
You know what? I didn't check it.
You didn't
so
even
I'm
check.
glad you brought it up.
You know who won for best podcast because that's the category most close to our heart as they whittle away all of the fine, good podcasts. And eventually, you or us or Sporadically Bored may actually win someday because there's nobody else to nominate and win. But
I'm glad you brought that up because I completely forgot about it.
Well, your game,
2024?
Arcs was a big winner this year.
Really?
As was SETI.
Let me see where their website. That's one thing I don't like about Golden Geek.
Oh, that's one thing. If only anybody ever complained about that ever about Golden Geek or Board Game Geek.
Well,
so Beyond Solitary, starring Liz Davidson, podcast of the year. Well deserved.
Really? Congratulations.
She interviews and she's very involved in, talking to designers and publishers, and she's in the nitty gritty of it. And I know she was designing a game about the Night Witches, of which we talked about on our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very interested, and I hope that gets developed. Because I'm not really up on things, I don't know if that's still in development with her or not, but I hope so, because I would love to play that as we discussed that very event on our podcast of the
She was
Night
on
Witches.
our podcast with us.
And she has been on our podcast once, and have many others. We have a lot of one-timers. We have very few. Just Mike and Dan really are the only 2 that ever came back, and we appreciate that about them. Hope they're still alive out there. I know Mike is. I haven't heard from Dan in a while. But
I talk to Evan quite frequently, Evan and Bruce Schwering. We have our own little message group on Facebook where we send each other pictures of our day-to-day activities. Helps us stay in touch with each other.
But yeah,
Arcs and heavy game
SETI.
of the year.
Yeah, SETI. So that's what confused me. It's like we have Arcs, we have SETI. I mean, is Arcs not a heavy game, but it won best war game of the year?
Well, Arcs is a war game. And so I believe that whenever they do heavy, medium, light, that's a nice way of, I like that they do have this category of war game because there are a lot of war gamers out there that really,
I find I wouldn't have considered Arcs when I think war game, I'm thinking like those chit games you used to always play, like Black Hawk Down or whatever it was.
If I had to
Siphon
make a
Filter or
suggestion,
something like that.
If I had to make a suggestion for Board Game Geek, it would be that I think that they're missing that Grognard level war game category. Like, I know this game is I know that the Golden Geeks is just a popularity contest, but people, of course, who've played Arcs was an amazing game. But the old school war games that come out get bypassed. And I think that really restricting that category to
popular,
like GMT games or like those, like they need a best chit game.
They need
or something of that nature.
What they need is, as we've discussed on this podcast for many years, at least for the nominations. Now, podcast, you can't win with the podcast because, yes, if it was just open up the podcast to all the podcasts ever, it would just be Dice Tower and Secret Cabal and Shut Up and Sit Down that wins every year. I understand their process. They want to, highlight some podcasts that may not be able to get highlighted because the big 3 or 4 that are always there will always just win because they're the most popular. Makes sense.
Right.
But as far as games, okay, so this is a catch-22 because the most popular games are the most popular for a reason. What is that reason? Well, for one, they get highlighted by all the most popular podcasts or the most popular YouTube channels. They also are generally good games. There are games that have won that we disagree with and everybody has disagreed with because that's just, again, it's subjective. Do you like war games? No, I would never vote for a chit-pulling war game because I don't play those. I've never played Hornet Leader or whatever it's called. I bought it. I still have it. Have yet to play it. I want to play it. I want to learn it, but I just never have. Still sit. I don't want to pull a Sean Connery. It's sitting on the shelf. We have Pendragon, GMT, extremely difficult war game. Never going to play it. One of those insurgency games, whatever they call them, coin. Never going to play it. But so the popular games win because they're probably easier to learn. They're among the easier to learn. Therefore, they're more attractive to the mass audience, right? I mean, do you agree with what I'm saying so far, or do you disagree?
You've said an awful lot. I'm trying to find a point of substance that I can latch on to that kind of drives that point home for you, which is I get the idea that just because it's popular, for whatever reason it might be, that's what gets it the Golden Geek Award. Like it's got all the coverage. It's the thing that makes it super mainstream, I guess would be the term. I think that is a fault for any type of open, non-curated a nomination. So it's because this is just the people. This is not let's have like an Academy Award level thing where we have people in the industry declare this game to be. I was just going to make that counterpoint to my very own point. There is no winning because you either go with the popular Marvel Endgame, or you go with the indie that wins the Oscar that literally no one has ever heard of. Okay, well, there is winning in both of those, and here's why. I do believe that there is a lot of value in a mass production, made for everybody, quote unquote, kind of fun romp thing that obviously has a certain level of quality to it, such as your illustration there of Marvel's Endgame. I've never watched it, but I would never argue against the fact that that was a beloved series and a beloved movie and a way to end a franchise. But at the same time, when you have these indies that they know they're not going to be able to catch the eye of many people, of the mass audience. They're not going to be there to make a lot of money. The purpose is to produce something that is not just quality, but innovative and something that's different and new. And people often don't like something that's different. So when that comes out, yes, they understand more than likely we're not going to win this huge popularity contest, but rather we're making something for a clearly defined audience. And we're not worried about trying to have millions of sales and be in all these theaters, to use your movie analogy, but rather we're seeing if it hits with our fans, the people that we are making something and for. And I think that's what's interesting. I think the best games transcend that. They're made for not only this audience in mind, but at the same time, the masses can appreciate it. The mass amount of people can play it and enjoy it. And that's what kind of launches a game to where it's better than the sum of its parts. Yeah. So we can use the Board Game Geek, for instance, the awards in 2024. I've never heard of 52 Realms of Adventures, which is the best print and play, because we are not that audience. Me and you do not sit around and let's say, what's the nice print and play? So obviously people who were of that ilk voted for it and they really liked it. And so thus someone like myself who's going through there and finding games like that and going, oh, okay, well, I might give that a try. And so, yeah, 52 rounds probably didn't sell a lot of copies, if any. It may be a free game that you can just print off and play with a deck of cards. But yet, it was designed for a very specific audience in mind. And thus, that is the winning that you were referring to.
Yeah, I guess.
Your definition, what I'm saying is your definition of winning is not sell a lot of copies or be number one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I guess that's why they try to make up for that with a variety of categories.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, congratulations to, again, I don't think to Beyond Solitary. Excellent podcast, by the way, with Beth there. And Beth is not only, we'll use her as an example, there are not a lot of solo players in connection with all the party gamers, the big, I guess, shut up and sit down type crowd, party gamers, lighter games, that type thing. But yet Beth's podcast is focused towards this one group of people that really like solitary games. And even though that's her niche, that's her little clique of people, her podcast is so good that it transcends just people who like solitary games. People who don't really like solitary games or may just have a fleeting interest in it will still listen to her review or talk about games that are multiplayer games with a solo option, or just listen to the game, her podcast for the other insights that she might have into the industry.
Yeah.
So she's a prime example of somebody who goes, this is what I'm focusing on. This is the one thing. But yet other people fall in love with it. It's like the guy who freaks out when he sees trains, the little British guy who laughs and has his little Google cam on his head. And but yet people don't watch him because they don't watch him just because of his trains. They watch him because it's kind of funny and enjoyable.
He's adorable.
He's adorable. And there you go.
Well, my vote went to Ben. I'm partial to Ben, but he does. I can see. So Ben will have his main show.
Ben needs all the aids he can get. I've helped Ben too as well to try to help him get where he needs to be.
He didn't even make the top 3 this year. Disappointing. I think the first time he was nominated,
did make the top 3.
It was Beyond Hot Takes, which they will win next year because they're like board game barrage level of listeners. They're very popular. And then I forget the third one. But Blue Peg, Pink Peg, I don't think they made the list. Unfortunately,
I can't believe they did not. Cannot believe they did not.
Well, I know I have not played anything recently. The only thing I've played is bowling and cornhole, and that was with you last weekend.
Yeah, fun times had by all.
I enjoy bowling. My arm was very sore the next day, showing me how just out of shape I am. Because I also used my left arm, not to just toss heavy bowling balls, but also to toss lighter beanbags into a hole made of corn. That's why they call it cornhole.
Trying to think of actual board games. I didn't play anything last weekend because, like I said, I was with you and Jack. Me and Jack have been playing a lot of not just bowling, but
Madden.
Also pickleball and things of that nature. And we've been playing a lot of Madden too. We literally just had to pause a Madden game because he is obsessed with Madden now, which at first I could beat him, and now we are in this intense competition of this is our team and this is who we're playing against constantly. And of course, he's a big Kansas City Chiefs fan, and I have found that in what I have discovered so far with Madden 2025 is that the Baltimore Ravens are legitimate, which I was not a huge fan of Baltimore back in the day, but
yeah, I played him at your home a few weeks ago, and I was defeating him with the Cowboys. Then we hopped online, and he picks the Chiefs, and I picked the Cowboys, who are a much lower rated team, and he handily took care of the Cowboys. Well, then he said, "Why don't you pick somebody that's closer to the Chiefs?" So I picked the 49ers, and I defeated him with the 49ers. And then we were in the midst of our final game together because he wanted to do, an overall arching, best of 3 or 5 or whatever it is. And I had the lead on him then, and then he called it quits because y'all had to go play pickleball. But yeah, he's grown in his skill quite a bit. I signed up and got Flip 7 for free from the op. I also ordered Da 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 from the op, and it came in the mail. 2 party-style games. I look very much forward to playing.
What's the op?
I don't know. The OP. That's just the name of the company. I don't know what the OP stands for.
Huh. Interesting.
Opoly?
Never heard of it.
But they just shortened Opoly into op. But that's all I've done. That's all I've done. I've had baseball highlights 2045 sitting on my table for a solid 2 weeks, waiting for me to open it, which I purchased it at the flea market BGG probably 2 years ago now. And I've heard about this game being a great game for many, 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 many years, especially a solo game.
I'm sorry, say the game again.
Baseball Highlights 2045.
I believe I've played Baseball Highlights. If I'm not mistaken, let me look it up real fast. I think I had the app back in the day, this is the game that has the robots and this. You have the humans, the robots, and the not the androids, but the cyborgs. Yeah. I really enjoyed this game. It is a neat back and forth little back and forth game. It was Mike Fitzgerald was the designer. A lot of people might remember Mike Fitzgerald. I think he did a lot of. He had a podcast or somebody that he was on a lot of podcasts with. He did the old game Wide Earp, and he also did the trick-taking game Diamonds, which I think you might remember that. But yeah, the Baseball Highlights was really his hit, and it is a neat game. I actually
good one.
Thank you for pointing it out. That it really was.
He didn't strike out with that one.
He didn't strike out. He did a lot of other games,
but none of them were a home run.
Oh yeah, he did Hoo-Yah, the Navy SEALs card game, which nobody remembers because I don't know if anybody bought it. But he tried to make a card game about Navy SEALs. And I had seen it somewhere because it was like a solo game and all that, and I never got to play it, and I regret not playing it. But yeah, he was quite the card guy back in the day. And I haven't seen him produce anything here lately.
He made Football Highlights like something or other. I don't think it was quite the hit that Baseball Highlights was, though.
Yeah, but Baseball Highlights is his most likely his number one game, which everybody would say, and it is quite respected amongst solo players. And yeah, I enjoy that game quite a lot, even though I do not like baseball at all. At all.
I need to crack it open. My game table has kind of been in shambles here lately because it's been a while since me and you have gotten together to play. So I've got like my robe and shirt on there for my little baby Rio cat to sleep on because he likes to join me as I work in my office here. And then my speaker, which I listen to podcasts on, is perched on the table. Got wires, cologne, headsets, books. Got all sorts of stuff on my game table other than a game, except for Baseball Highlights, which sits there all alone, waiting to be played, waiting to get touched by my hands.
Well, I've got several new games that had come in. Of course, I had posted pictures about what was the new game that just come in? The Expeditions game, not Expeditions. I'm blanking on it now off the top of my head. It was on the hotness here. Anytime a Kickstarter comes in, it becomes quickly on the hotness. Core of Discovery. Core of Discovery was a game that had just come in that I had kickstarted some time back, and I'm very much looking forward to, as well as the Earthborn Rangers game, which I'm going to set up and play a solo game, or maybe talk my daughter into playing it with me. Speaking of solo games.
Did you ever play Dumplings with your children?
I've never heard of Dumplings. I'm sure you told me about it, but I don't recall it.
It's the game that they asked to send to us, and you said, sure, send it to us.
Doomlings.
I
have not got to play that with them. I have a stack. I've not been home at all here lately. Yeah. And so I have a stack of things of like, this is what I'm going to play. Doomlings is another one of them that I'd like to. So yeah, that's on the docket for today, probably. As well as for BGG, there's some solo games that I would like to check out, 2 of which I had not heard of. One being Napoleon, a 2024 solo game where you play like it's a GMT game, like a RPG type thing where you are Napoleon. It looks fascinating. And the other game that I never heard of and was quite shocked that I had not heard of it, a 2024 game called Conservus. Like it was a bag building solo game published by 25th Century Games, the designer Scott Alms, the guy who does the Tiny Epic whatever games.
Alms for
it's
the
a fishing
poor.
game. It's a fishing game, like Deadliest Catch type thing. And it looks really good. And I've not gotten to, I didn't know it. I never heard of it. But old Chad Elkins putting out solo games by Scott Alms. And even Space Biff reviewed it and said it was like Scott Alms' strongest game.
Wow.
So which piqued my interest. That's high praise. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. I'm gonna try to play it because it's a simple bag builder in the 10.
I hope you choose to play it sometime either early morning before I arrive or late evening after I leave, as it's a solo game at a board game convention.
Right. Well, I always take a game back to the motel.
Okay.
I always take one and read the rule books. And
don't take it back to the room with me. My place or yours.
Some of my best games at conventions have been games for which I've taken back when everybody's done. I check one out when it's closing, and I take it up to the room and I just read the rule book. I love figuring a game out, especially if it's one that I'm super excited about. And nothing better than making a cup of coffee in the morning, having the game already set up, waking Enrique up and saying, "Hey, guess what? We're playing this," and just sitting down and knocking it out.
I need to check out some games. I don't even, let's see. I saw the hotness the other day. Oh, toy battles on there. 7 Wonders Dice, hard pass. I've played Castle Combo. I think I mentioned it before on BGA. I just don't get the craziness for that game. Galactic Cruise. Do we have that game or not?
No, no, we do not. I was wanting to play it. Well, they offered it. I just never ended up requesting it. I'd love to play Galactic Cruise. I've heard that it's very heavy, though.
I think what I'm just looking forward to is knocking out some of these games we've had on our shelves that we've never gotten to play or someone plays. I believe Chasson from Louisiana is coming, and I think he's bringing some games. I do want to play Ezra and Nehemiah, shortest man in the Bible, and I want to get that one knocked out. I think he's got a couple that I'm actually wanting to play. I'm very much looking forward to having that time to do that, because it's been a while since we've had it here, if you know what I'm saying. We just need to both quit our jobs, have no money, lose our homes, go under a bridge, and play a game. Probably not ideal.
Well, I mean,
but
hey,
that might be the only way.
Not ideal. I'm sure I bet if we did something radical like that and advertised it strongly, that our Patreon would kick up. And we might be able to make some sort of that would be great. That would be a thing called the homeless gamer, and just live under a bridge. The homeless gamer.
Disassemble my large table and reassemble it under the bridge, because we have 2 bridges here nearby where, sadly, the homeless take shelter. But that's where they are, because it is shelter. It helps you from the rain. But I could set up my table, and we could sleep on top or under it, however, depends on how the day or night is, and play games, because we are now jobless and homeless. How I would feed my wife would be of concern to me. I don't know.
Patreon.
Well, I hope so.
Feed Gina.
So we're gonna be homeless, but still have cell phones.
Yeah, because we're still making money off the Patreon. Duh.
If I had to be homeless, and I know this probably isn't PC, but if I had to be a homeless person, I don't think the location where I live is the place to be. But if you're living off Patreon and you're using the money from there, what are you using the money for? Just to power our cell phones? Where would we charge?
I guess.
I've never really thought about the struggles of the homeless is real. I'm not making light of it. I just we have them.
Sounds
nearby,
like you are.
No, I'm not making fun. I'm just now putting myself in their position of how difficult that would be. I don't know where I would plug in my phone. I guess I don't know. That's a terrible life, and I feel sorry for those people. But here's the problem. Here's the main problem with the quote unquote homeless. Are they really? Or is he taking my money I've now donated to him? He walks down the road, gets in his brand new Chevy pickup, and drives to a mansion that he's bought with his job, quote unquote, of being homeless. Now, I only say that because, they have all these, they put this on the news. We're like, oh, this homeless man's not really homeless. This is his job. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm skeptical. I hate to say, I'm skeptical of everything and everyone. And even when people walk down the street in front of my house.
No, I just don't live in fear. Nor do I think that everybody's out there trying to rip me off. I figure that most people are probably genuinely.
See, and that's how they get you. That's how they get you.
I didn't say that I'm giving the assistance. I'm just saying I acknowledge that they probably need it.
I know there's lots of legitimate, but there's also illegitimate mixed in, and that's what makes it so difficult to tell the difference.
You could be giving out some of your sweet Patreon money to these legitimate homeless people.
That might be.
Maybe that's what you need to do. You need to befriend your local homeless people and play board games with them. Be like, oh, listen, I have no pocket change, but let's go under this overpass here, and we could play. Have you ever played Flip 7?
Also have no fellow gamers in the area. Well, my wife.
That's what I'm saying. You can befriend the homeless.
What she does, and sometimes, when we're approached, they'll say, they'll give their story, and she'll say, I don't have any cash, which is true. We never carry cash. We only have debit or credit or, a card. She'll say, I'm like, for instance, a lady approached her at Walmart, giving her a sob story. True or not, again, who's to tell, unfortunately. But let's just say it's true. My wife said, I don't have any cash, which is a true story, but I'm going to go into the store. I will purchase you some food, and I will bring it out to you. She did so, went back out. The lady was gone. So if you are truly a hungry, homeless person looking for that next meal, why would you not be there? So thus, that
maybe
again,
she thought your wife was like a vegan or something that was going to buy like hummus.
If I was hungry and homeless, I would eat the hummus. Hungry, homeless.
I ain't eating that hummus, and I'm especially not eating. I'm not playing your remake of Hungry Hippos. Hungry homeless hummus where the people gobble up garbanzo beans. I'm not playing that game.
I love, garbanzo and hummus. It's good stuff.
Your whole premise here is awful, and it sounds like you've talked yourself into a corner regarding your anti-homeless stance. I'm just saying.
It's not that I'm anti-homeless.
You're anti-homeless.
I'm anti-trust.
Everybody's going to get that.
Everyone's a scammer. There's too many scams. I've been asked to pay my tolls for the toll road umpteen times in text messages saying, you need to pay your tolls or else we're going to blah, blah, blah. Those aren't real. It's a scam. Everything's a scam.
I am pro-homeless. And here's why. Here's why you should play board games with the homeless. Number one, if you're at a board game convention and you're trying to play games with somebody there in comparison with somebody who's just unhoused, those unhoused people smell similar, if not better, than most of your average board game convention goers.
Wow.
Point number one.
Wow.
Point number two, they probably, in a lot of ways, have a lot of good street smarts. Because these homeless people, they got to figure things out. They know how to live. They know how to make things happen.
With them. I once had my bicycle stolen, and it was replaced. I purchased a brand new bicycle, no joke, and 3 months later, I foolishly left it on my front porch, and I went out the next day, and in the place of my brand new bicycle was a old, ratty, probably 1970s 10-speed with a bag, which had many shivs and pointy spikes and like whatever they left behind. It had a hammer. I actually was like very concerned. Are these murder tools that have been just left as evidence in my front yard? I called the policeman, reported my stolen bicycle. I said, this is what he had here. There's a hatchet in here. It's a little concerning. Fortunately, there was no blood or anything on it, but there it was. So, yeah.
So you just assumed that this was a homeless person who stole your bike.
I didn't. Well, I don't know. Why would they need it? Why would they need
I
my
don't
brand
know.
new bicycle when yours is already outfitted with this bag and all these many self-made shivs and weapons?
Maybe they thought this was a equal trade. Like, I'm getting this new bike that I can get around on. This guy, I'm leaving him a bag full of shivs. He's coming out good on this. You know? He left and thought, man, I left him my Shiv bike. Instead of a Schwinn, it's a Shiv. He's got this thing decked out. He left you a Mad Max 2-wheel drive. And you're here griping about it because you had your bike had a basket so you could carry your Oreos with you.
Oh, and so then the cop like bagged it up and took it, put the bicycle in the vehicle and took off. I'm like, so now I have no bike? I could have at least kept the homeless bike, but I didn't even get that option.
I'd have kept that homeless bike. I'd be rolling up on people. People in the town would respect you then. They would have known, don't mess with this guy. He's got the Shiv bike.
Looking like Ben
Oh,
Hur.
man.
Got the spokes sticking out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, I got to get off here because I have things to do. And your
I don't know.
anti-homeless rant
I was
is
about to say,
quite disturbing.
We may take out
Don't
the last
delete
20,
any of this.
20 minutes.
No,
of the
don't delete
podcast.
any of this. We need this for content because your 20-minute rant about the homeless is something people need to be aware of. I think that's something.
They could be homeless.
you're-
They could be cons. We don't know.
Either way, I think that this is very telling. Well, if anybody wants to join our discussion about the homeless and board gaming, next Wednesday, the 14th, safe 7 p.m. Bring aids. Bring your favorite aids.
Roll.
Talk about your
Flavor.
favorite player aid. Yeah. Fun fact: who was that guy that had everybody drink the
Is
Kool-Aid?
this going to be another fun one? Or
Yeah, it's another fun
Jim,
one. That
Jim
guy
Jones?
that made it. Yeah, it wasn't Kool-Aid.
Flavor Aid.
So Kool-Aid, it was Flavor Aid.
Yep.
But Kool-Aid gets the bad rap, but it was Flavor Aid. Just
Flavor
FYI.
Aid. Gator. There's
Doesn't
lots of
sound the
aids out
same.
there.
There is lots of aids out there. Well, this is Jerry.
We hope to aid you to a better day by listening to this episode of the Board Game Snobs podcast. This is Gabi. Until next week, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tolerating this episode of the Board Game Snobs. Stay classy.